Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to our Vistage special webinar with Dr. Rob Shire. Dr. Rob is a Vistage member and he is a chiropractor, and he generously offered to do this in this time of need that I think that we all have. So I'm excited. So please welcome Dr. Rob Shire.
Thank you, Mark. Appreciate the introduction and appreciate the opportunity to be here with you all today. It's funny, as I was preparing for this talk, it reminded me that they say that public speaking is the #1 fear among people, even above the fear of dying. And they say that when you're speaking to a group of people, that it's a good idea to imagine everyone in their underwear. But because we're on a Zoom call and I can't see everybody, I thought I would just sit here in my underwear as a way of just, myself feeling a bit more comfortable. Since I can't see you, I hope that elicited a couple of laughs. We're going to talk about thinking, eating, and moving. And let me just see if I get my technology going there. Okay, good. So we're going to talk about effective leadership principles to create a happier, a healthier and happier, stress-less life. Taking leadership of your business through your health and staying ahead of the curve. John Maxwell, of course, great business leader, says that leadership is not about titles, positions, or flowcharts. It's about one life influencing another. And as leaders, isn't that part of our responsibility, is influencing other people? So I'd like to start off by just showing a couple of the principles of leadership that I have come across, and hopefully you as business leaders have come across these as well, because I would like for us to keep these principles in mind as we go through the talk today. So vision and purpose and values, commitment is a key one, integrity, authenticity, accountability, empathy, resilience, humility, and the opportunity to inspire other people. So some of you, I think everybody here on the call is from New York, so you might recognize this. This is a picture that I took on Tuesday afternoon at 2 o'clock. We are looking north on Park Avenue intersection on 53rd Street. And as you probably know, most New Yorkers, this is not a typical site for this area at that time of day. Even after 9/11, the streets were not this empty. So clearly we are living through an unprecedented time in our lives. There's a lot of fear, there's a lot of uncertainty, there's a lot of anxiety and stress about what's going on now and what is going to happen in the future to our business, to our finances, and ultimately, yes, to our health. So as Mark said, my name is Dr. Rob Shire. I am a doctor of chiropractic, or a chiropractor, whichever one you prefer. I've been practicing for over 20 years. I have a private practice in Manhattan, in Midtown Manhattan, out of an office called True Whole Care. We're a multi-doctor office focused on collaborative care across many different specialties to find the solutions to health problems. As you might imagine, my office is currently closed because of this coronavirus. My business, my profession, my whole reason for being requires me not only being within 6 feet of people, which of course is forbidden now, but it necessitates me the laying on of hands, which is even more forbidden. Chiropractic comes from the Greek word kairos praktikos, which literally means practiced by hand. So we're all feeling a tremendous loss of power, a loss of control, personally speaking as well. I've been building a successful practice in Manhattan for 20 years. I've been building networks and relationships for years. And the question is, how long can I sustain this? How long can you sustain this? Some of you on the call may have prepared for this moment and took some precautions and planned for today, and you're ahead of the curve. So congratulations. Your business will most probably emerge out of this in a healthy position to capitalize on the future. Of course, others might not. You might have been distracted by other priorities, didn't see the warning signs. And of course, I think of things like 9/11, Hurricane Sandy, and of course, now we have this coronavirus that we're dealing with. So you might not make it out of this crisis, but I'd like to transition this from a conversation to about your health. And what about your health? And where do you fall with regards to these questions with your health and well-being? So I'd like to take out a piece of paper and just sort of copy this slide, if you will. I'll give you copies of these slides later. But everybody, I imagine, on the call has a philosophy regarding their business. And when everybody's in business, the foundation of all business is, what is your philosophy? How do you conduct your business? So I'd like you to think about, how does that apply to your health? Do you have a health philosophy? Is there some way that you conduct your life that with regards to your health? The leadership qualities, the ones that I listed there, maybe you have your own. What are the qualities that you exhibit and apply in your business? And do you take any of those and apply them in areas of your health? What about the vision? Same thing for your business and for your health. And what does success look like? What does success look like in your business? And what does success look like in your health? Question: does business just happen? Or do you have to create it? Do you have to cultivate it? Do you have to nurture it? What about health? Does health just happen? Or do you need to create it, cultivate it, and nurture it? And what do you want to create in your health, in your body? And who's depending on you? So I would like you to take another piece of paper, or just flip the one over that you have there, and draw a circle. And in the middle of the circle, write your name. And then I would like you to draw spokes out from the center of that circle. And at the end of those spokes, you can either write circles or write the names of people in your life who you love, people who depend on you, people who are important to you. And I'm going to give you about 30 seconds to do that, because this is an important piece of paper. So go ahead. Okay. You could fill more of those in later if you like, but hopefully you got a few names down there. And I want you to keep this paper close by, because it's going to be important as we go through today's presentation, because everything that we're going to talk about is going to affect not only your own life, but all the people, all the names of that are on that piece of paper. So I know we're on a Zoom today, and I know some people are at work and some are at home. And I know it's easy to get distracted, to check your email, check your text, look at funny memes. There's a lot of cute videos of puppies going around. But I'm going to invite you to engage in this webinar today as if your life depended on it, because quite honestly, it might. One of my mentors, once upon a time, when he was doing a talk, he said, you know, this could be a jacuzzi experience for you, meaning you could be in a jacuzzi and feel the warm jets of water, you know, waving over you, and it feels really nice while it's happening. And then you get out of the jacuzzi, and an hour or two later, the next day, doesn't really have much impact on your life. Or this could be a pivotal shift in how you approach your health and well-being. So I invite you to look at this as an opportunity and engage in your health and your well-being, because like I said, your life may depend on it, okay? So here's how today is going to go. We'd like you to understand how to apply the principles of leadership to your health and your well-being. We're going to talk a little bit about anatomy and some physiology, some statistics, not too many, but just enough to drive home the point. Talk about mindset and, of course, action steps. I would like for the takeaways for you to have is some clarity on how and why being the leader of your body and mind impacts not only your health, but those around you, and ultimately the bottom line of your business too. And at the end, if you're fortunate enough to stick around, I've got a very special gift for you to share with you, and I'll tell you more about that after, but you got to stick around towards the end. So this is a wake-up call. This is a wake-up call for how we run, manage, and strategize our businesses. It's a wake-up call for how we run, strategize, and manage our health. We've lost power and we've lost influence with regard to business because of circumstances beyond our control, social distancing, sheltering in place, self-quarantining. These are the new catchwords of today that I don't think 3 or 4 weeks ago we ever would have possibly imagined that would become part of our lexicon. But where do we have the power? We do have the power to become the leader of our own health. This is a critical time for all of us in many, many ways, and your health and your immune function have never been more important. I think we can all agree on that. So let's go through some current health statistics so we get on the same page and realize that not only are we dealing with this pandemic of coronavirus, but we've got some very serious underlying health issues going on in our country. 1 in 2 US citizens have some type of a chronic disease. 40% of the population is considered to be overweight, and 40% of those people are considered to be obese. That has enormous health implications. 1 in 3 Americans have diabetes or pre-diabetes. This is fascinating. In 2016, the life expectancy went down for the first time in recorded history. That is pretty shocking. 30% of us are on some kind of antidepressant medication. 65% did not get 8 hours of sleep last night. The top 3 killers in the United States are heart disease, cancer, and medical errors. And 80% of all heart disease is largely preventable. That's according to the Center for Disease Control. The healthcare costs, these statistics were taken from 2015. I can't even fathom what they're going to be going forward, but obviously you can do the math. So I invite everybody here to accept radical responsibility for your health choices. The buck stops with you. There is no magic formula. There's no magic pill to become a good business leader or build a successful business. It takes an investment of time, education, commitment to learn how to become a business leader. And as a leader, you have the power to influence not only yourself, but the others around you. Equally true with your health. There is no such thing as a healthy pill. There's no such thing as a magic immune protection formula. It takes thought, it takes planning, and it takes execution. So the 3 primary areas of influence today we talk about are structure, biochemical, and mental. And forgive me if there's anybody who might be noticing some inconsistencies in the order at which I mention these. If you get a little bit, rattled by that, I apologize. Maybe that's something for you to take a look at. There's no particular order. I place them, they're all important and they all will be addressed. But I just noticed that sometimes I might have said food, thought, and movement, and sometimes I do it the other way around. But these are the primary things that we're going to discuss. Before we go on, though, we need to talk about your DNA. Why your DNA? Because your DNA are your building blocks. It's the foundation that makes up who we are. Your genes. People say, oh, I've got great genes, I've got bad genes, my mom gave me these genes, this genes, right? People will talk about genes. The fact of the matter is that we've mapped the human genome and we've realized that only 10% is hardwired. Only 10% of your genes were actually acquired from your ancestors, which means that 90% of your genes actually respond to the environment. Now, genes don't see. So genes respond to 3 specific things, which are movement, food, and thoughts. So who's in control and who's the leader? So the first one we're going to tackle is structure and function, because that's near and dear to my heart as a chiropractor. The skeleton is, of course, the structure of the human body, and it is held up by the spinal column, which is comprised of 24 movable bones that we call vertebrae. On top of that sits a little 5-pound sponge that we call the brain. And the brain is the master controller. It is the CEO of the body. There are more nerve cells in the brain than there are stars in the Milky Way. There's over 7 trillion nerves in the human body, and they communicate with the body via the spinal cord, which make up the entire nervous system. So clearly, I hope that you can get that this is a very important system. In fact, some would argue it's the most important system, because if there is no nerve function, there is no life. It's kind of like that in your business, right? If there's no CEO, maybe not a lot of business is going to happen, or it might happen for a little while until it kind of gets disorganized and put away. So you see the analogy here. Now, anything that interferes with the nerve system will lead to dysfunction, dis-ease, and eventually pain and ill health. There are two parts to the nervous system. There's the motor and the autonomic. We're going to deal right here now with the motor, because that's the one under voluntary control for all your muscles and all the things that you consciously do. And then later we'll talk about autonomic when we get to thoughts about stress. And so we have two kinds of structural stresses. We have the macro stresses and we have the micro stresses. The macro stresses include things like accidents and injuries and traumas. The micro stresses include things like sitting for prolonged periods of time, poor posture, lack of flexibility, weak muscle tone. Macro stresses at the extreme could mean death or paralysis. If once upon a time when you wanted to get rid of somebody, right, you would either hang them by the neck or you'd cut off their head. Either way, separating the vital life force, right? And that was the end of that person. So that's dramatic, I know. Injury to the upper cervical area could lead in paralysis. Many of you might remember the tragic story of Christopher Reeve, aka Superman, who fell off a horse, fractured his neck, and he was paralyzed. So these are extreme examples of what can happen when the nerve system gets severely injured. But for most of us, we're talking about microstresses. They're talking about the daily repetitive microstresses that accumulate over time. And what happens there is that the vertebrae get pinched and nerves get irritated, and depending where those nerves go are connected, can cause things like neck pain, back pain, shoulder, difficulty with breathing, lower back, sciatica, right? All the different areas that we do. So the most common micro stress I think that most of us encounter is the sedentary factor, right? You may have heard the expression that sitting is the new smoking. The British Medical Journal of Sports Medicine found that periodic standing, more so than exercise, actually lengthens telomeres. Telomeres are the tiny caps at the end of DNA that shorten and fray as cells age, and that protecting these cells from premature aging and can protect from premature death. So the quickest way to counter the sedentary effect is to get a standing desk. And if you get a standing desk, you should probably engage in standing about 50% of the day. It doesn't mean you need to be standing the entire day. That wasn't the purpose of the standing desk. But if you don't have a standing desk, no problem. We have a solution to that as well. If you don't have a standing desk, set your alarm, your smartphone, your Fitbit, whatever it is, every hour to get up and to move. Stop what you're doing. So I'd like to take a moment and pause right here. And this is my top 12 stretches here. And push your chair back, get comfortable, and let's go through number 1 together. We're going to stretch the arms out like this. And by the way, when you're stretching, you want to breathe, you want to relax, right? We're going to go to number 2. We're just kind of got to go through these quickly for time's sake, right? And you're going to bend to one side. Oh, that feels good. I'm going to bend to the other side. 2, that feels nice, right? We bring our arms down, we shrug our shoulders, and we drop them down. And we shrug our shoulders, and we drop them down. Number 6, bring your one hand behind the other. By the way, if you're feeling any pain or discomfort, don't stretch through it. That's your body's communication saying something might not be working right. So we don't go through the pain, no gain principle. Listen to the body's pain. That's your warning signal. And we stretch the neck to one side, and then we stretch the neck to the other side. Come back to the middle, bring your hands together, bring the elbows up, bring the hands down, right? So you get the idea, right? Now, how did everybody feel we did that for what, 30 seconds or so, right? Does that feel pretty good? Everybody nods, universal sign of recognition, thank you. So these are some easy things that you can do at your desk Some of them are standing, some of them are sitting. You choose which ones to do, but they don't take very long. The second one, oops, wait a minute. These are the standing slides, but I think this is for my advanced class, Mark. I'm sorry about that. Hold on. Okay. Let me see. Oh, here they are. Okay. These are the slides that are meant for most of you guys. Now, we're not going to go through the standing postures. I can give you these slides or I can email you copies of these. But again, easy ways, take a few moments, stand up, move your body. So the key takeaways from this section is to move, okay? Move your little meat suit, right? Life is motion and motion is life. There's some great benefits that you get when you get up and move. The first is that you get circulation. The blood gets pumping. And of course, blood brings oxygen to the muscles and most importantly to the brain. When you get oxygen flowing and muscles to the brain, you get an increase in energy. You get an increase in focus and creativity. The telomeres, those DNA strands, begin to lengthen and repair. A lot of benefits in getting up and moving. Some of the things that go down are aches and pains, okay? Muscle fatigue. And if you do this on a regular basis, you can stay ahead of the curve, right, before these things happen. So these are some takeaways on how to mitigate structural stress, movement. We all good? Is this helpful? I hope I didn't upset anybody by anything I said here. Okay. Then the question is think about what are 3 leadership qualities that you can ascribe to this area of your life, things that you might not be doing, things that you know you should be doing or you could be doing, and write those 3 leadership qualities down so that you can become accountable to improve your movement and your structure, okay? All right, moving along. Let's talk next about biochemical or nutrition and food. You've all heard the expression, you are what you eat. I think now, since we've explored the concept of the DNA expression and how 1/3 of your DNA is expressed by the food that you put into your mouth, that has never been more true. So we're going to talk about food as fuel and food as raw materials to build your house. Things like donuts and cookies and French fries and soda are fuel. They will give you energy. They will give you quick bursts of energy and they will spike your blood sugar and they will dump huge amounts of insulin into your bloodstream and they will get you high. They will tax your liver and they will tax your pancreas. And then you know what happens? You crash. And then of course, what do you do when you crash? You go back to more of it and it becomes a roller coaster, up and down, up and down, up and down. This also, of course, leads to you being hangry, right? That combination of hunger and anger, which Snickers capitalized on and made these really funny ads. Of course, what is Snickers selling but a candy bar that's laden with more sugar? So it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. They were geniuses, right? So I'm going to share with you an outline of how to eliminate the hangry, of how to eliminate the ups and downs. And it's very, very simple stuff because I want you to think about food now as raw materials for building your blocks of DNA, to helping your body repair with vitamins and minerals and enzymes, okay? You've probably also heard the expression, garbage in, garbage out, okay? What you put in is what you get out. Same thing applies to your business, right? Put in bad stuff in your business, bad stuff's gonna come out. So let's see. We're going to break things down into 3 categories of food. We call these the macronutrients, your protein, your fat, and your carbohydrates. Now, we would like to invite you, I would like to invite you to consider that make up 70% of your diet plant-based. Why? Well, because plants are from nature, okay? And by and large, if they come from the ground, they have the perfect combination of nutrients that your body needs, okay? Of course, when you can choose organic, so you don't get all the chemicals that are sprayed on them, but all your proteins can be obtained from plants. Now that may come as a surprise to you, and there's a great movie that actually Mark had recommended to me called The Game Changers, which can be found on Netflix. I found it to be very interesting. But if you think about your meat, where does your meat get its protein from? Eating from plants. So you can see here that protein comes in from quinoa, hemp, flax seeds, and chia seeds. These are all little things that are just packed with protein. They've also got a shell, so they've got some fiber in there. Fat you can get from nuts and seeds also has protein in there. Avocados, coconuts, olives. These are good, healthy fats filled with omega-3 fatty acids. Your carbohydrates you get from fruits, from vegetables and legumes. And legumes, by the way, beans and chickpeas, things like that, are also very nutritionally dense with protein and fiber to help with digestion. Quinoa, I'm just going to highlight there on the bottom left, is a really, they call it nature's perfect food because it's gluten-free, it's high in fiber, and it contains all of your 9 essential amino acids. So if you've never explored quinoa, I would invite you to take a look at that. Now, butter and oils. Butter, if you're going to have butter, it should best be from a cow that is grass-fed. One of my favorites is the Kerrygold butter. There's some other brands out there, but that's a good one. And olive oil, I think, is the best oil. Avocado oil, coconut oil. These are the healthy oils that you want to eat. Canola oil, corn oil, no good. Get rid of them. Let's talk about fat. Fat is a very important part of the diet, provided it's from healthy sources, of course. Fat is a very concentrated form of energy. In fact, it has 2 times the caloric density as compared to protein and carbohydrates. For every for every gram of fat that you eat, you get 9 calories of energy versus 4 calories for every gram of carbohydrates or proteins. Now, if you have body fat, which I think most of us probably do, you have fuel. You have excess fuel and energy to burn. You may not know this, but for every pound or extra pound that you have in your body, that's equal to 3,500 calories. So depending on how many pounds you might be carrying around, multiply that by 3,500, and you're going to see how much extra energy you have stored for a rainy day. If you do choose to eat meat, I recommend choosing wild sources of meat, fish, seafood, poultry, eggs, things that are fed, healthy, grass-fed, no antibiotics, things like that. Preferably if you're choosing meat that has been humanely slaughtered and hasn't suffered. Dairy is one of those things that we don't really need so much in our diet. We've been sold a bill of goods by the dairy industry that, got milk, get your calcium here. The fact is that that's not your best source of calcium. The best source of calcium comes from green leafy vegetables, grains, and from fish, grains, seeds, and nuts. So that's something to think about. The bottom category here, just stay away from. Just walk away, okay? Any fried foods, wheat, corn, anything that has these ingredients, you're just not, they were never found in nature. Walk away, okay? When you pick up a box of food and you can't pronounce the ingredients on it, it's probably not good for you, so put it back. The closer that we stay to whole single food ingredients, the better off you're going to be. The last one, I think, whoops, did I go backward? Okay, is alcohol. Now, alcohol is kind of in its own category. Alcohol is a poison, plain and simple. There's no other way to put it. However, there is a healthy amount of alcohol that one can consume. For a woman, it's about 5 ounces, roughly a glass of wine. For a man, it's roughly 2 beers, or about 3 ounces of liquor. I'm sorry, 1.5 ounces of hard liquor. Okay, so key takeaways: eat what nature created. Okay, look for plants first. They're usually easy to find, right? Wild meats, fat from healthy sources, limited dairy, and of course, no corn, no wheat, no sugar, and no deep fried foods. Okay, we all good with that? Simple stuff, easy to follow. Okay. Hope I didn't upset anybody there. If I did, something to take a look at. Now let's talk about hydration quickly. Water is the vital liquid of life. I just came up with that yesterday. It is the vital liquid of life. Why? Because 65% to 75% of your body is comprised of water. Your brain is 85% water, and the discs in your spine are between 85 and 90% water. So it is essential for everything you do. In nature, when we go out into nature, Do you find Snapple machines and sodas and things like that? No, there's only water to drink. So I'm not saying don't drink those things. I'm just saying that don't make that part of your water consumption. The goal for water consumption should be about 3 liters a day, which translates to roughly 100 ounces of water. One of the things to gauge if you're drinking enough water is the frequency and color of your pee. Yes, the color of your urine. It should be a straw color, a pale yellow. If it's dark, if it has a strong odor, then you are dehydrated and you need to get some water in your system very, very quickly. There's a great book out there called Your Body's Many Cries for Water. And it talks about how many of the aches and pains and ills that we suffer from is just simply because we don't have enough water in the system. So drink more water is the takeaway from that, okay? If you're hungry, also try drinking water first. That might quench your hunger for a little while. Okay, so we're all good with the biochemical. Water is the vital liquid of life. We're all gonna drink more water. This is so easy to do. Okay, now let's get to the real juicy part. The thoughts, the mind. Thoughts equals stress, and stress, ladies and gentlemen, is fake. Now, if that upsets a few of you and gets a few of you riled up, that's okay. I'm okay with that. Let's go back and talk about the autonomic part of our nerve system, because it's crucial that we understand this, because this is embedded into our DNA. So remember, we had 2 parts of the nerve system: motor, the one under voluntary control, and the autonomic, the one that's autonomic, that's not under voluntary control. The autonomic system is divided into 2 parts: the sympathetic, which is the fight or flight or survival. We call it the gas pedal, okay? The parasympathetic is the resting, repairing, and reproducing, or the brake system of the nerve system. These 2 systems operate exclusive of one another. Either one is on, the other is off. They cannot be gone on simultaneously. It's like driving your car. You can't put the gas pedal down and the brake at the same time. It just won't work, okay? This is part of your DNA. It's part of the hardwiring from our ancestors from many, many years ago, and it's there for survival. We go to nature's rules. Nature says that you either take action or you die. So I'd like to do a little exercise now. I'd like to take a walk in the woods. So if you will indulge me for a few moments, just close your eyes. And I'd like you to imagine that you're in the woods and it's a beautiful day. Sun is shining, clouds are out, there's a breeze. You walk out of the woods into a field, a meadow, the grass is tall, and it's a beautiful spring day. The spring flowers are out, and there's a river up ahead, and that river looks really beautiful. It's got some fresh, clean mountain water flowing down, and you're feeling kind of warm and thirsty, so you're gonna go up to that river and you're gonna kneel down and put your hands in that river, spoon your hands together, wash your face, maybe take a little sip of that cool water. And you look up, and I want you to open your eyes, everybody. Open your eyes and look at the screen, and oh my God, there's a bear. There's a bear, and look at him. He's 10 feet tall, and his claws are out there. His teeth are about to mash you, and he sees you in your little meat suit, and he says, I think I'm gonna have you for lunch. Now you've got a split second to decide. Am I gonna stay there and fight this bear, or am I gonna run like hell and get the hell out of there? Now what are you gonna do? Are you gonna stay and fight, or are you gonna get out of there? Hurry up and decide, because if you stay and freeze, you're surely gonna die. So what's it gonna be? Fight or flee? Fight or flee? Which is it? Come on, quickly decide, quickly, quickly, quickly. How's everybody feeling right about now? Did your heart get a little bit increased? Did your lungs capacity change a little bit? Did maybe your palms get a little sweaty? Your stomach got a little churny? That is your sympathetic nerve system in action. That is exactly what we're talking about. You can't change that. That's hardwired. It's encoded in your DNA. Now, a couple things happen, okay? There's a hormonal response to stress. And what happens during that hormonal response is that your adrenaline, that fight or flight, boom, skyrockets, right? Cortisol, which is the stress hormone, gets dumped into your system, right? You all heard these stories of the kid that gets a superhuman strength. He lifts off the car, off of his sister, right? these crazy stories. This is what we're talking about. Testosterone, by the way, goes down because you don't need testosterone when your life is in critical danger. But estrogen then takes its place, right? Your blood sugars start to skyrocket, as does your insulin. Now, this hormonal response is completely normal and functional and purposeful. It's there for your survival, because if this didn't happen and that bear is upon you, you're not going to be around. But one of two things is going to happen very quickly in that encounter with the bear. Either one is that bear is going to eat you, in which case there's really nothing more to talk about. Number two is you conquer the bear, or you run so fast that you outwit the bear, but in the matter of minutes, seconds to minutes, this whole fight or flight sympathetic activation is going to be over. And all of these chemicals and hormones are going to get reabsorbed into your body where they should be. The problem is that today we leave that system on for days and weeks and months and years, and that leads to a chronic state of stress. And that can affect your immune response, that can affect your sleep cycles, that can affect your food cravings, it affects your responsible for systemic inflammation and irritability. Now, how many of you were attacked by a bear while waiting in line for groceries at Trader Joe's today? Raise your stump. Nobody? Okay. Because we don't have these kinds of dangers today, all right? We're just not in these kinds of dangers. The only time you need this state of activation is if you're in your car and somebody cuts you off, or you have to make a split-second decision, right? Then that sympathetic system activates. But on a day-to-day basis, you don't need this system. Today, the two things that people stress about most are money and people. Now, the question is, are either of these things going to kill you? Well, unless you owe money to a land shark, to a loan shark, right? Or a bookie, then the answer might be yes. But short of that, these two things are probably not going to kill you. You literally made these things up in your head. This is stress that you created, and it is entirely fake. What is money? Money is simply an exchange that we created, right, for goods and services. So what do we do in this situation? You're sitting at your desk and you're worried about money, okay? Or you're worried about other people. So how do you get this flood of system out of your body quickly? There's a couple of surefire ways. First, I want you to understand that the brain, only 12% of your brain truly recognizes the difference between something that is real, a danger that's actually imminent, and something that you completely fabricated in your mind. And we know that because we just did an exercise where we all felt that rush of adrenaline simply by your imagination, something that you imagined, and I was telling you the story. 90% of your brain doesn't realize the difference between either one of those things. So what can you do? Nature's rules are take massive action. So the easiest way is go outside and run as fast as you can for 3 to 5 minutes. You go outside and run as fast as you can, guaranteed all the stress that you're feeling will be gone after that run. And if you can't do that, engage in some kind of whole body exercise, okay? Do some push-ups, do some sit-ups, do some jumping jacks, mountain climbers, squat jumps, something to get the entire body engaged. You do that for a period of 3 to 5 minutes, and all your stress will be eliminated. Now, I realize that some of you might be at work and you don't have the opportunity to do that. So what's another way to reduce stress? I'm going to have everybody close your eyes for just a second here. Close your eyes, and I want you to take a deep breath, as deep a breath as you can, and hold that breath, hold it. And now I want you to inhale again on top of that breath and hold it for just another second. And as you let that breath out, ask yourself, am I safe? Now open your eyes. Now, two things happen here. One is that if your life is in danger, you're never going to close your eyes. So the fact that you can sit here and close your eyes means that you're safe. And taking a deep breath keeps you into that present moment. So another way of dealing with stress is to make a list. If there's something that's stressing you out, write it down on a piece of paper. The more specific you are about the stress, the easier this exercise will be. You write down specifically what it is that's stressing you, and then underneath it, write down 3 specific action steps that you can take today to begin to tackle that stress. Because one thing is sure, you can run away from the tiger, you can run away from the bear, but soon they'll come back and they'll find you. But if you turn around and fight and face those stresses, that paper tiger, eventually it will go away. Learn a new skill. If there's some uncertainty, there's something that's stressing you out like money, maybe you can learn a new skill, make yourself more valuable in your work, in your job, in your marketplace. Maybe call for some support from somebody in your community, but take action. If you take action, the stress goes away. If you sit and wallow and think about it, it will recycle in your brain and it will be very difficult to get away. Now, another way you can get rid of stress is to meditate. And meditation simply means to become fully present. Now, if you're imagining meditation sitting in a dark room with some incense burning and you're chanting a mantra or some sound in a language that you don't understand, and that might seem like you're summoning a demon from the beyond world, well, that's not really meditation. Meditation means becoming fully present. And there's a couple of different ways to engage in meditation. There's active and passive. So active examples here are things like yoga, or Tai Chi, or martial arts, downhill skiing, mountain biking, running, anything that causes you to be fully present. If you lose track of time, then you're fully present, and that's a form of meditation. There are other forms of meditation, like passive meditation, guided meditations. There are some very easy, inexpensive meditations you can get on your phone, like Headspace, or Calm, 10% Happier, or the Insight Timer. Now, I'm often asked, when is a good time to meditate? Well, the side effects of meditation include things like being calm and being peaceful, being energized, connected, focused, centered, and relaxed. So my answer to you is when is a good time to meditate is any time that you would like to experience these feelings. So if it's before you're about to go into an important meeting, you might want to meditate. If it's before you're about to walk in after a long day and you've had a pretty stressful day and you don't want to bring all that stress to your family, might be a good time to meditate, right? So there are all these different kinds of ways to do that. So at this point, I would like to take a little pause and I would like to bring on somebody very dear to me. He is a world-renowned yoga and meditation teacher. He teaches classes now virtually online, and he also happens to be my older brother, Franklin Shire, and Franklin is going to lead us in through a little guided meditation. So Mark, if you can be kind enough, since you hold all the powers, to unmute Franklin, and Franklin, I will invite you to take control now. Thank you.
Thank you, Robert, and welcome everybody. Just really quickly, is there anyone here who is completely new to meditation, never tried it, not comfortable with it, doesn't have any idea about it? Just give me a wave real quickly. So whether you're comfortable and familiar with it or not, there are many ways to meditate, which you may already know. I'm going to just kind of offer you in this brief guided meditation, a breath-based meditation, where the focus is the breath. And I'll give you some cues, more so in the beginning, give you spaces of silence where I'm not speaking. I'll chime in again for a prompt. Just know that in a seated meditation, what we call mindful meditation, to simply sit quietly, it's not about, as Rob said, it's not about stopping everything. It shuts down and there's nothingness. It's actually about becoming more aware and not attaching to what you're aware of, not analyzing, not judging. I'll leave it at that for now, and we'll see what happens, okay? So before we even dive into this meditation, we've been sitting. If it feels good to you, move around. Before we come back into stillness, move around. Any of those things that Rob gave you earlier, stretch your arms, maybe even stand up for just one moment or two and shake yourself out a little bit, and then, whatever you feel you need. I'm going to give you another 30 seconds to do that, because then you're going to come back to your seat at some point and be comfortable in your seated position. I think that probably most of us are in chairs at this point, which is fine. You don't have to sit on the floor for meditation. To be comfortable in your seat and sit up tall so that you're engaged, but not rigid. You want to be relaxed in this position. So once you've settled in, once you've adjusted and fidgeted, again, as Rob offered, closing your eyes is optional. If you're not comfortable with closing your eyes, though, you don't have to close your eyes to meditate. In that case, you would fix your gaze at a point, something that's not the computer screen. Pick a point on the wall, focusing your gaze the way you'd space out on a candle flame or the reflection on the water, otherwise closing your eyes. The benefit of closing your eyes and or fixing your gaze at a single point means you're that much more focused already. Now, if you haven't yet, just take your attention to your breath. Feel it, hear it. You don't necessarily have to change it. Just be with it for a few moments and feel it. Being aware of your breath, notice, without looking for it or thinking or judging, a general sense of how you feel physically, spiritually, emotionally, energetically. Again, don't think for it. Don't look for it. Just be in this moment and focus on the breath. If your nasal passages are clear enough, with the mouth closed, just breathing through the nostrils. If you need to breathe through the mouth, that's okay. Just see if you can stay anchored in the breath. You'll notice sound. Notice it, but don't attach to it or analyze or judge it. Stay anchored in the breath. Feel physical sensation where it's obvious. Maybe it's your seat on the chair. Maybe it's your feet on the floor. Maybe it's something else. Notice it, but don't attach to it. Stay anchored in the breath. And with practice, in the same way that you can hear sound, but stay anchored in the breath, in the same way that you can feel sensation, but stay anchored in the breath, you can notice when your thoughts are running away, or you're stuck in a thought loop, or an obsessive thought loop. By noticing that you're stuck thinking about what you got to do later, and you realize it, one conscious breath in and out. You are present in the moment. You've let go of the thought, even if it's only for that one moment, and the thought comes back. One conscious breath, breathe in, breathe out, and you've let go again and you're present again. Anchored in the breath is being present. Feeling, aware what or how you feel, but not looking for it. Just being in the moment with this breath right now. On any level at all, can you relax? It might feel that it's physical, dropping your jaw or your shoulder, eyebrows. Relaxing could be something subtle or energetic, letting go. Breathe. Breathe again. Relax. You don't have to, but notice what happens in your body, in your being, if you turn the corners of your mouth up even slightly, or at least a peaceful expression on your face. Breathe again. Relax again. Feel peaceful. When the mind wanders, come back to the breath. Stay anchored in the breath. This next exercise may just be a practice. It doesn't have to be mastered. You don't have to do it right. It could just be that you visualize what this is. If you can feel that when you inhale, you're filling your belly first, then your rib cage, then your collarbone. So you're inhaling belly, rib cage, collarbone, bottom to top. On the exhale, empty from the top to the bottom, collarbone, rib cage, belly. You might physically feel inhale, belly, rib cage expanding, chest rising. Exhale, chest goes down, ribs go back in, belly softens and goes in. Inhale, belly, rib cage, collarbone. Exhale, collarbone, rib cage, belly at your own pace for a few more rounds of breath. Maybe visualize inhale, belly, lower lungs, upper lungs. Exhale, upper lungs, lower lungs, belly. This is a consciously engaged breath. It'll be a slightly fuller, bigger breath perhaps, but nothing strained. Certainly not held at the top or the bottom. Just a slightly consciously bigger, fuller breath for a few rounds. And then relax that. Go back to a more natural breath. Feel the peaceful expression on your face, or create it with the tiniest turn of the corners of the mouth up. A little baby Buddha smile. And I'll give you one final little tool that you can take back with you. It's the simplest little 2-syllable mantra, if you will. The 2 syllables are so hum. That translates as I am. Not I am X, Y, or Z, just I am, period. When you inhale, feel the, and just, you don't have to make the sound, just feel it in your body, the sound of so. When you exhale, feel in your body the sound of hum. Inhale so, exhale hum. Inhale so, exhale hum. At your own pace, with your own breath. I am. Over and again. An affirmation of being. And whenever you feel like it, you might just slowly and gently let your eyes flutter open if they're closed, and sort of let the room come back to you. And try not to stop the meditation, so to speak. Notice what you notice, any difference in sensation, any sense of presence, focus, stillness, for a few more breaths. And then if you need to move, feel free to move, but don't suddenly move just for the sake of it. Move gently, move slowly, move mindfully, any kind of movement you feel you need. And after you've had a little bit of movement coming out of that meditation, one last little thing is to sit still one more time. Reestablish that simple seated position one more time. Maybe close the eyes one more time. And when you inhale and you exhale, that is one full breath. Count to yourself 3 conscious breaths. Inhale, exhale is 1 at your own pace. That's all you need. 3 conscious breaths is a nice drop into a meditation. Anytime, anywhere. Sitting at your desk, sitting on the train, standing on the platform, waiting for the train. Well, there's no trains right now, but you get the point. 3 conscious breaths. Inhale, exhale 1. 10 is a little tricky when you're not used to it or things are really stressful and busy. 10 is like you're going to lose count before you get to 10. It's okay. You can continue where you think you were, or you can start again. But 3 is doable. Every man, woman, or child can do 3. I'm going to turn it back to Robert. Thank you for practicing with me. Yeah.
Thank you, Franklin. How's everybody feeling right now? A little open, a little receptive, right? We've turned off the sympathetic fight or flight system, and we have turned on the parasympathetic rest, digest, repair, right, system. And this is where the creativity comes in. This is where the growth happens. So, whoops. Okay. So this concludes a portion of the talk today. Think, eat, and move. There are 3 simple things. I guess that's a theme. Thank you, Franklin, for tying in the 3 breaths, right? Think, eat, move. Be the leader of your own health and watch how you can impact your life, your business, and all of those around you. I hope today was valuable. I hope you gained some insights and some clarity. Mark, I don't know if we have time for questions or if you want to just do it through email. If you have any questions or concerns or require some more guidance, feel free to email me directly. That's my email address. And thanks again for the opportunity to be with you here today.
Well, thank you, Dr. Rob. Thank you, Franklin. We will be posting a recording of this video as well as these slides. So go to my website, marktaylor.nyc, and you'll be able to watch and see these slides. Thank you for your attention today, and have a good Friday. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everybody.